Painting's podcast special on the subject of paintbrushes, how to choose them, where to buy them from, what quality to do, how much to spend, and even how to maintain them, with the exciting addition of brush soap to the Wargamer's palette. This topic comes to you thanks to a request from Gordon Westhill, who wrote in and pointed out that a lot of our normal chit-chat was a little bit directionless and without focus. Very, very difficult to argue with, so we pulled all of our paintbrush-related chat together into one podcast here, and it may even be possible that there's something useful in here for you, but there's still a bit of banter as well. So sit back or just carry on painting and enjoy the podcast.
This means war.
We've had a request from one of our listeners, or half of our listeners possibly, is a more accurate way of describing it.
Taking requests.
We're actually getting requests now, yes. And this is a chap who says he enjoys listening to us on his daily, when he's allowed out of the house, walk. So,
well, hey.
So again, another ringing
day
endorsement.
Release.
Another ringing endorsement there. Yes, someone on day release is.
What does this carer like the show? That's what I want to know.
I'm sorry. What was it? Yeah, possibly. But yeah, somebody enjoys it. But their request was our painting chat is a little bit random, which I guess, in retrospect, clearly it is.
I think that was that random.
No, that's just the figures that you're doing.
That's just the figures that I'm doing. I've not really helped that this time, but the theory was, or the suggestion was, that we look at a specific part of painting and basing and just do a quick round robin about how we do it, or what we choose, or what our thought processes are. And I think to start this week, we'd start with the core thing of painting, which is brushes. So I don't know, Peter, when you're world of brushes, what's your approach? What do you do? What kind of things do you have? What range of brushes? Give us a quick rundown of your world of brushes.
I've tried numerous brushes, and there's a art shop I go to over in East London because they've got multitude of different brushes, and I'm trying to remember what the shop's called. But my latest one are Kolinksy Raphael ones. A couple of reasons. I've tried some of the other ones which are sort of like triangular shapes, which is the army painting. No, it's it'll come back to me. But basically, it just fits my hand nicely. So that's the first thing when I go in. It's like, I'm going to be holding this damn thing for a while painting it, especially the speed I paint at, which is woeful, compared to some of the rest of you who are actually half decent at it. And then it's like, it's a long, exhaustive search. It's something that actually holds its actual nib for a while. And these have been fantastic for me. So I'm quite pleased with these. I've been through sort of like Army Painter and others and various Kickstarter ones, but these have been winning for me so far.
And what kind of range of numbers and or point sizes is it? Do you tend to use?
From 0 to 20.
Brush sizes.
Brush sizes. What types of brush sizes?
Different brush sizes, because different manufacturers have their own brush sizes.
What?
The
0?
size 2 Windsor and Newton might be a size 1 Raphael or a size 3 Raphael.
Right, the Kolinksy and Windsor Newtons tie up quite similar, because I was trying out the Windsor Newtons right next to it because I had some of those before. But the Windsor Newtons, either I couldn't get the right ones, or I found that their quality actually drops off fairly substantially compared to ones I had a few years ago. These, when I had the Windsor Newtons in my hand, literally in the art shop I was in, were very, very similar, only half the price. So I kind of went, I've got to try this, because the Windsor Newton ones weren't actually doing it for me anymore. They were losing the nib too quickly for me.
So what
was the brand name again?
It's Kolinksy Raphael.
Kolinksy Raphael Kolinksy. Yeah.
I think another West Ham midfielder from the 1980s, but
8402. So
8402. And what's the price point of
how expensive
one of those? Yeah.
Good question. It was a while ago I actually bought them.
That's a good sign, actually. That is a good sign.
Yeah, well, that's the point. I'm actually having to look it up, because I was trying to remember the last time I actually bought them. Because I have, a Raphael 8402. Okay, so for our brush series, they're about £10 each.
What?
Well, I'm saying what, but other people are looking and nodding. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's got to last a
So-
while, hasn't it?
Delete.
Yeah,
Delete.
Yeah, they're about £10 each, but I've used it for ages.
And do you what, again, just the run through, I guess the standard questions is, we've got price, we've got the brand. What range of point sizes do you use in your typical?
Well, you go through my normal one for doing sort of like broad, blocking out is a 0. Then I drop down from there.
And what's the smallest you go to?
Some people go to that like literally a single hair. I've never gone that low, but I'm trying to remember the actual size. It's
Double, triple O.
It's sort of like the I think it's almost like triple O is the lowest I go. But no, the most of my painting is a double O.
Double O. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
The triple O I use rarely because I find the single O does most of the things, and the double O does most of the fine detail, because with 15 mil, I can pick out buttons with that. It's like, what more do I need?
Yeah,
I'm not doing eyes and things like that.
Except on gnomes. All right. Okay.
Except on gnomes, yeah, and pegs and metal pegs on
your way.
gnomes.
Still something you're coming your way. So, Andy, talk us through your brush scenario.
Well, very simple. I recently bought some Army Painter, the triangular ones. It comes in a set of 3. There's the Insane Detail, there's the Wargamer Regiment, and there's a dry brush one.
Yeah.
And the Wargamer Regiment, I'm very impressed with. I've done pretty well everything for the Viking Army with it. It's still going. It's triangular. It means it holds in the hand very easily, and it's thin enough to get some nice detail on it. So I'm very impressed, and if I can get another one day, I shall do that. They seem to be out of stock at the moment anyway. I've tried online.
Okay. And how do you clean them? Do you
dip them in water?
Just in water. That's it.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're just getting away with a range of 3. And has anybody got roughly that Army Painter Regiment one? Is that probably? It sounds like a 0 or a 1 really. In general
It is, and it just feels nice with the handle and everything else. It's just I found the batch that I had, the brushes gave up way too soon, but it's really good. It's like having one of those thick fountain pens. If you were doing a lot of writing and everything else, it's great for actual painting.
Okay, all right. Well, Simon, then what's your brush range, brush scenario?
The range I've been using for the last little while is from Cass Art. It's a UK art shop that's a few of the high streets near me. So they do a range of synthetic to, oh my gosh, that's very expensive, hand reared sable brushes. But I've been using their synthetic ones. They're about £3 to £4 a pop.
Okay, all right. And is that sort of own brand from an art shop near you, or?
Yeah, there's one down near Kensington. So I think on the high street in Kensington, and the other one's up in
somewhere else.
Yeah,
somewhere else in London.
Name escapes me. They're both within like an hour's walking distance, which is what I do on the weekend. So it's often an excuse. Well, while I'm here, yeah, I've been using their synthetic ones for a while, and they're not too bad. They do die after a while, but you can get quite a good ranges from about 4.0 up till 2 or 3, which is the ones I use. I use at different ranges for the different sizes for either the base coating or more detail. But they also have a nice wedge style of brush that you can then use to like when you're painting like chariots, where you've got that big slab of just continuous one bit of metal.
Okay.
You just go one paint, there you go, done.
No. And what's your kind of what's your go-to size? Is it 0? Is it 1? Is it 0?
I use a combination of 1 or a 0 as the majority of my painting, because I tend to work on the 3-foot rule of, if it looks good at the pub in 3 foot, then brilliant.
And the
I-
pub's
I-
not got the best lighting either, has it? Which is a
No.
great boon for all of us if we're not trying too hard. That's one of the great upsides of central London. So
Yeah.
This means war. This means war.
okay. So Tamsin, we talked a little bit about your airbrush already, but when it comes to actual brushes, we're all going to now sit back and be amazed as you tell us something highly technical and very impressive. Possibly.
And especially imported from
Yeah.
Handmade in
sable
Russia.
cheap.
Mostly I use Windsor and Newton Series 7, which Kolinksky's.
Okay.
And most of the time, size 2 and size 1.
Wow.
Very occasionally 0, very, very, very rarely 0, or smaller.
Is that because you're mostly doing 25s, or is it just about point rather than brush?
Or is it just simple fact you're a
mostly
lot
I'm
better
doing-
painter than we are?
Most of the time I'm doing 15s. Recently
Wow.
I've done a lot more 28s, but I find sort of the larger brushes, because if you've got a good Kolinksy, a good brush, Kolinksy tables are good for this. They'll retain the point longer, and you've got with a larger brush size, you've got more belly. Provided the point's sharp,
Wow.
you can just keep
Keep going.
load the colour, and you can paint it on several figures before having to reload it.
Yeah, I've just done 3 figures exactly that. Just with this brush, going around doing the metal. It's just as Tamsin said, it just loads up the paint and just delivers it very, very smoothly. It's lovely.
Okay.
But at the moment, for the Wars of Roses army, because there was so much metal, so much metallic paint which had to go on, you don't want to use good Kolinksy sables with metallics too often, because either metal flakes can damage the hairs. So I decided to use some synthetics, some cheap, you might not be able to see them,
Okay.
cheap set, Royal and Langnickel brushes, £6 for 10 brushes, different sizes from the works.
Okay.
The
right.
works, yeah.
Yeah, the works. That's a good old shop, isn't it? Yeah, that's proper art stuff.
Oh, great works. Yeah, that's where I go.
They've been doing a good enough job on my Wars of Roses.
And is that for kind of dry brushing then, or just delivering?
That's the whole lot.
That's
Sorry.
the whole lot.
So basically, you're saying you slum it with metal paint.
Yes. Use synthetics with
Metals.
paints, because I make damage.
Wow.
If it's doing things where there's not much metal, so when I was painting World War II, not a lot of metal to paint, I just carry on with the Windsor and Newtons.
Okay. All right. And what's your kind of price point for the, your core 1s and 2s, your Kolinskys?
The Kolinskys, I think Windsor and Newtons are about £14 each.
Yeah.
Roughly. When that will last me, for size 2 and size 1, probably 5 or 6 months. And given the amount I paint, that's
that's a lot, isn't it? That's impressive. And
They do last long.
it's cheaper. Because I have used cheaper brushes in the past, and
It's a false economy.
6 months, I'd probably have spent
Yeah.
20 quid.
Yeah.
per brush.
And I can see Dave in one of the other windows has been waving his brush soap about, which we spoke about the other week, and you're waving your brush soap as well.
Yeah.
What's the brand on the brush soap?
Mine, the Masters brush cleaner and preserver.
The Masters. Dun dun dun. And Dave has got Broken Toad.
Broken Toad conditioning brush, though.
Because I thought Broken Toad, you were going to talk about a form of lager that you were having there, Dave. But it does sound like a hipster brewery, doesn't it?
This was at Salute I bought this, and I think, quite frankly, I'll bequeath this to 4 generations of Saunders.
It will last forever.
Actually,
Will last forever.
But you're just using it to repoint, aren't you?
Yes. Well, I clean the bus thoroughly and repoint them. Yeah.
what's the name of that stuff?
You don't use the soap for the cleaning, though.
Yeah. I clean. I mean, it's pretty. You see, it's sort of pretty brown in there already. But I mean, I put quite a bit on it. Clean it on a piece of kitchen table, and then try and repoint it at the end.
Yeah.
Dave, I think he belonged to the who painted who owned the terracotta army, but he never got round to painting them.
No. So actually, let's do a kind of the brush soap. So what's the technique with brush soap? Because it looks like there's a sort of a shoe polish tin of something, and it looks quite sort of thick, almost solidy. So Tamsin, how do you use brush soap?
Wet the brush.
Right.
I sort of get a lather onto it, and then I go around sort of. Get a brush out.
Okay.
So initially, I'm going like that.
Okay. So you're painting a little circle into the brush soap. So you get the brush wet. You get the brush wet, then you kind of paint into the soap.
Swirl it around.
Swirl it around.
So you get some lather onto the bristles.
Yeah.
Onto the hand. So.
Wow.
So as though you're painting directly up. Sorry. Dry throat.
So you're painting soap onto your hand, yeah?
Circles. Rinse. Get some more lather on. Different part of the hand. Go around so you're at an angle. It's like a bit like you're dry brushing.
Right. So you're forming the point then in that second stage.
No.
Oh wow.
That's getting any residue that's down towards the ferrule.
Right. Okay.
It's when you get paint residues around the ferrule. That's what causes the bristles to splay.
What's the ferrule?
That's the metal.
Metal.
Even I know that, Peter. My God. Right.
Or it's a guy from Australia, really scruffy one called a feral.
Yeah,
it's just out in the eastern suburbs. Yeah.
All kids from your local estate.
Anywhere indeed. So you're doing two sets of soaping then.
Rinse again into the soap, then a little bit side to side. Draw it across the palm of your hand, or on towel.
Yeah.
Is that also like voodoo technique to say this will paint really nicely, sort of thing?
Now I've done all this. Okay.
It's like, therefore it will paint nicely.
Yeah, it does sound like. So Dave, you're the other soap expert then. What's your brush soaping? Because
it's the same. I sort of work. I mean, I wet the brush, put it into the soap's like you say, it's like shoe polish. It's quite solid. So you wet the brush, put it into the soap, and then work it around to get that lather up. And then you find the paint comes off, and as Tamsin says, it comes off down to the ferrule. You know, you sort of work it around in there, and what I do is just wipe it off on some kitchen towel. Do that a couple of times. I agree with that. You need to do it a few times. And then when you washed it off, I think that helps get the point back for when you want to use it again the next time.
So do you soap it up to keep the point then as a final stage?
More or less. I mean, I do it every now and then.
So how much of a difference does it actually make to you?
It keeps the point going on the brush. What I found when I started 10 years ago, I was sitting here painting with a 000 for everything, trying hard to sort of like learn to paint. Since then, I mean, in my drawer at the moment, I think I've got 8 000 brushes, which I haven't even used. Nowadays, I'm using a 1 and a 0 most of the time. And I've got a 2, which I use for painting horses, and I use for putting ink on. And I mean, with the 2s, I bought 10 for £3.95 on eBay.
Wow.
And table brushes, so they're just disposable, quite frankly. And with the 1s and the 0s, I've been buying them from Essex for years because they're fairly cheap, they're reliable, and as you go through, I mean, every time we go to Warfare once a year in November, and I'll buy 3 or 4 1s and 3 or 4 0s off them. But progressively, I've used. I mean, I'm treating my brushes better. I mean, the soap makes a difference. It does. It really does make a difference. But then the interesting thing I've got is I've got 3 Humbrol stipple brushes.
Stipple brushes.
Yeah, so they're sort of like quite firm.
Okay.
They're like horsehair.
Firm
Sounds like some
short bristle.
Yeah, makes it sound like some sort of German anti-tank weapon.
So, but they're good for dry brushing onto bases.
Okay.
And there's like a small one, there's different sizes. And then I've also got the Army Painter Hobby dry brush, which is it's quite a soft dry brush. And that's good for dry brushing gunmetal over, you know, if you spray a figure black and you want to put dry brush the chainmail, the hobby, yeah, this is the Army Painter hobby dry brush. It's because it's soft. Yeah, that's the one. That one is pretty good for doing that sort of thing, or dry brushing grey onto black to pull out the detail, to see the detail. Really recommend that brush. Love that brush.
So your core brushes though are just from Essex, and they're like £3 or £4, and you maintain them with the soap.
Yeah, and I mean, I've got a couple of posh ones I bought in Great Russell Street from a proper art shop.
Conelson.
They're Da Vinci Cosmotop Spin.
Da Vinci Cosmotop Spin. I think I've got those trainers somewhere like that.
Yeah, exactly. They're quite.
I think you've got that army.
Yeah, yeah, possibly. I can make it out of that eclectic mix of stuff I've got.
But saying this, I do need to see Essex again and need some ones and zeros.
Okay.
But I'm thinking of getting some zeros off this guy on eBay who does them for $3.95 for 10 and giving them a go, quite frankly.
They'd be good for the samurai, wouldn't I, zeros?
Okay. Look, my stuff, yeah, I guess so. Oh dear. Oh, he's back again. Andy in the world of puns. No, so I'm just like a complete, where has it gone in the brush? I'm just a complete brush whore, really. I'm very much a, buy them cheap, and I know that it's a terribly bad thing to do. But maybe I should invest in brush soap and try and care it at the moment. But I think also I am with all you guys. I'm very much a noughts and wands wands actually is probably the right size, because I'm just getting much more used to that idea that there's a large amount of paint on it. I think the latest set I've got was something again off eBay, because I'm a real sucker for buying stuff off eBay. For a while there was a few art shops that I was able to find on eBay that were doing sort of job lots of seconds. So you get about 10 brushes or a dozen brushes, and within that you get half a dozen would be noughts and ones and twos, and then you get some kind of ridiculous comedy ones that you clean under the kitchen table with or something. But but you get enough of them, and they'd all be sort of slight seconds on the handles and things, but not necessarily on the points and tips. But I've not been able to find those recently. So my current lot was some YZ or hang, but these triangular ones, like you were saying, the Army Painter ones from some knockoff place in China.
You're saying they're
originally.
You're basically saying they're quality controlled. Did you add the brushes?
Possibly, yeah. Improved quality control meant they weren't selling them so cheap. But I just kind of have a sort of an evolutionary sequence of brushes. I have new ones which retain their point, and then they kind of wear out, and then they become my dry brushing brush. And then once they become no longer good for dry brushing and they wear out again, they become my glue brush for putting the glue onto the bases for the flock and stuff like that. And then eventually they become my paint stirrer sticks. So I'm just, it's a thing that I'm really interested to particularly the soap thing sounds really, really interesting, because I've just not, each time I've bought expensive brushes in the past, I've not been able to maintain them well enough to justify keeping them, even if they do give a slightly better point. But maybe the soap is the missing ingredient, and we'll go in there with some soap. So, okay. Look, that's a round robin on brushes. As Dave, have you got a final point on the world of brushes?
Cocktail sticks for putting the glue onto bases. I've got a bag of cocktail sticks, and they're brilliant for putting the glue onto the bases and smearing things like that around. That's what there is. Cocktail sticks.
Yeah, I've with some of my kind of gummed up sticky brushes, but I just find actually, particularly with 25mm figures, and we're veering into basing now. My basing is to put sand on the figures, and then you can really see where the base of the horses or the figures are when you stuck them on, because the sand sort of sticks on. You can see that actual base bit. So I tend to try and completely cover those with quite a lot of static grass. So having something you can almost paint on rather than just a cocktail stick is a little bit better, because I put quite big patches of grass on it. So I can see what you're saying. I think cocktail sticks are a good thing for some bits, but probably not for the kind of crappy basing stuff that I tend to do. But basing's another week. So That's a good brush-based discussion. I think I learned some things. What I'll try and do is, because I've written some of those names down, and see if I can put some links to some of those brands and things actually in the podcast write-up this time, which may be useful to everybody.
Great art. That's where I used to get the stuff.
Great aunt, not your great aunt.
Great. No, not great aunt. She was even better at painting than I will ever be. She was really fantastic. It's up near Hoxton.
Okay. So that
Hoxton Overground Station.
What, your great aunt?
No, she was up in Bradford. That was different.
I see. How much did she charge for painting?
She used to paint miniatures on tiles. Beautiful nature painter. So she used to paint birds and things like that. I've got a few from when she passed away. Fantastic painter.
Wow.
She was one of the first air-qualified nurses in the 1920s out of the Middle East.
Ooh.
Well, you learn something every day. Not necessarily war game related, but you definitely do.
No, there we go. Yeah.
Excellent. All right. Well, thank you, Peter.
War.
That was our first special podcast, this one on the subject of paintbrushes. And thank you to Gordon, who may be called Gordon Westhill or Gordon Smith, I'm not quite sure from the email address, for suggesting that one. We're pretty happy how that worked, so I think next week we'll be looking to release another couple of these on other subjects, generic stuff about basing, other aspects, maybe even we can stretch out a whole half hour on glue if we really work it out. So look out for these one-off special podcasts coming your way. Thank you very much for listening and stay safe out there.